So I have some questions for you guys, for Vince, and basically I want to introduce to the audience. We have an audience of people, of contractors that are very familiar with the insurance claim process. So some of them are not. Some of them are in other areas like in California or just some areas where they don't get a lot of storms, so they don't really deal with the insurance claim process. Some of these guys we work with are just 100% retail, so they don't even do any insurance claim, but they might not even know the benefits of using going through the insurance adjuster and going through the insurance companies and how they can actually pay it off for the contractor. So
Right.
I have some basic questions that I want to get into, and then we can go into your actual a strategy of how you actually maximize the claim process. So first of
Okay.
all, the question I have is like, what is the basic benefit of using a public adjuster for a roofing company, a roofing contractor?
So the basic benefit of using a public adjuster is really, you know, we're experts in claim policy, language, um, definitions of policy and how things are covered or not covered, and then dollar values on the amount that needed for the said damages. So we are experts in negotiating it, getting it to a settlement.
How do you guys file online? Because what I see that's unique about you guys is that you kind of come up with a standardized process to handle a lot of different claims from a lot of different areas.
Mhm.
That can get very complicated if you have the right systems in place. So, how does a contractor, how do they get the claim, and how can they file online using your website?
Yeah. So what the virtual PA does a little bit different than most public adjusters. Anyone on the webinar, knows what a public adjuster does, or if they don't, they're what public adjusters the what they're used to seeing what public adjusters do is really like on the larger losses, more complicated losses, things like that. What the virtual PA does, which is a little bit different, and what we've really brought to the forefront, is handle the whole entire claim process for any kind of loss, for roofers and contractors at any size. So 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000. The problem within the PA world is distribution, right? There's only a certain amount of PAs. There's obviously way more roofers and roofing sales guys than there are actual PAs. So they can only handle so much. So because out of necessity, they handle the larger losses. But then there's lots of losses that are not, represented, which either the homeowner or the contractor is getting shortchanged and dealing with it, dealing with the claim. So we've made that whole virtual part where we handle the process of the claim, and the roofer works with us as our loss consultant to handle the claim. So that's what we've done with the claim process, to handle all the claims, not just the ones of your big babies that are not big babies, but I mean like the big losses that you have that you've worked on to get. We're there to not just take the cream off the crop.
Okay, got it, got it. So you can handle from smaller claims to the larger claims.
Correct.
Uh,
Yeah, correct. And we're there to make sure that you're not dealing bogged down with claim process, and you can go sell more roofs.
Got it, got it. And then what are the basic strategies that a homeowner has when they get denied by the insurance company for the claim that they filed? Like, what are the
Denied.
like when they get denied? Like, what can
So,
they?
so I mean, like, denied's a vague word, and I mean, like, there's two kind of denials, right? What people, the layman would think would be like a denial, right? Insurance company saying, I'm not paying for X, Y, and Z, right? I'm not paying for certain items, well, they denied my claim for, they're not paying for the roof, but they paid for something, and there's straight up denials. There's no coverage for this loss. There was no hurricane, storm. There was no hail. There was no this, and I can't help you. That's a straight up denial. And then there's what we call partial denials. And in partial denials, they're taking away portions of it, and then the homeowner sort of left in this sort of vague area of like, okay, they paid a little bit, but what do I do? I can't redo my roof because they're only paying for one shingle or 10 shingles, and it's under deductible. So in the layman words, denial in our sense, we wouldn't call that a denial. Layman's would call it a denial, though. So there's multiple ways of getting it done. Sometimes it's just about arguing with the insurance company, getting on the phone, presenting your facts, and that's sort of what we do. And we'll get into that, and how we sort of, fight that process early on instead of at the end. presenting your facts correctly in the beginning is huge. There's a lot of things in insurance, like setting reserves. Reserves is when an adjuster goes out to a property, they're setting how much roughly around where this loss is going to be. If it was good to be paid, it's going to be around 10 to 20. It's going to be 20 to 30, so on and so forth. If you set those wrong, it's like pulling teeth later. So giving as much information in the beginning is a huge part of this process, both to stop denials. You give them reasons why they owe you the money, but also to fight it later on. It's a lot easier because the reserves have been set correctly.
Got it. Okay. All right. So you want to get into your presentation? Some of the and talks about what you're going to talk about today.
Here's what we sort of laid out as like what we see as the major flaws and how the system is sort of broken with how roofers are handling insurance claims. So I'll just go through them pretty sort of quickly. And it starts more of a timeline process. So really we see the timeline is broken. So our concept is offense over defense. And right now people are playing defense constantly, right? They're letting the insurance company dictate to them and then later on try to fight it and so on. So we'll go through that real quick. So flaw one is the claim's filed incorrectly by a roofer or the homeowner. Is setting the tone for the claim. Insurance companies are judging from the second you call them, right? How you file it, what you tell them, how you say it to them. They're going to ask how long this has been going on, different little things that you think are, very, not being judged, but they're being judged and they're being noted and then used later for either denial, underpayment, so on. Well, man, you told us X, Y, and Z on the phone, and now that's not true, or so on and so forth. So they use those things against you. See here, so in the day one, by working with us, you're protected from UPPA laws. We don't really have an opinion on UPPA laws. The unlicensed practice of public adjusting, neither here or there, they're just there. But with using us, we definitely handle that. You're not in any UPPA violation. So a lot of things are filed incorrectly, and then you have UPPA protection with the first flaw. Then you get into the flaw number two.
I want to interrupt. So what are some of the common mistakes that a homeowner can make when filing a claim?
When filing a claim, you're going to get a lot of problems with like just not telling the insurance company all the information they need to know, right? So it all gets down back to reserves, right? If you don't tell them you have, all the damages, let's say siding, or you have gutter damage and you have, roof damage and your fence is broken, whatever it may be, and you're not laying those out to the insurance company from the beginning, field adjuster is only getting that report, right? They're getting that report from the insurance company of what was filed, what was damaged. And sure, you could show them everything, but again, they're judging it. Well, you didn't tell us that now you found gutter damage. Now you found this. Listen, there's no generalizations. Every insurance company and every insurance adjuster is different, but these are all things that can really cause a problem and build up to really cause a larger problem at the end of this claim, right? And then now you're trying to fix a whole bunch of small problems and put out a bunch of little fires to get your claim paid.
Got it.
Right. Everyone on here is a roofer, right? You fix a leak on a roof, right? You plug the hole over here, and then all of a sudden it starts leaking over here. I'm sure that's all happened, right? You get a call from the homeowner. Oh, now it's leaking somewhere else. Yeah, it's because you patched here, but there's always a hole here, but the water was getting in over there, right? It's the same thing with claims. You put out this fire, and now they're going to say, well, you did this, and so on. So if you take away as many fires as you can in the beginning, it makes it easier at the end.
So, what do you recommend for a contractor to kind of assess the entire property after an event? Like, do they?
Yeah, I mean, as much as possible. Listen, there's always going to be things that are going to be unseen and hard to find, and maybe when you're pulling back the layers, things show themselves. That's definitely going to happen. But to your best ability is in the beginning, getting ahead of it instead of playing catch up at the end. And that's sort of the hard part. And then insurance companies and insurance adjusters get offended. Well, you didn't show me this, and now you're asking for $10,000 for X, Y, and Z. And now they're, emotionally like, oh, why do I have to pay you for this? You're just trying to, defraud the insurance company. They get into their own little, arguments within themselves. And now you're pulling teeth when you didn't really need to. All right. So with the second flaw, It's not really maybe the wrong set of words, really the lack of effort put towards documenting and justifying it, right? So when you're not giving the insurance company information to get it, paid for and settled and the reasons why they should be paying for it, now you're hoping and praying that they're gonna, we point out the shingles, we point out the damages, they should be paying for them. But that doesn't mean they're going to, and because you've given them no reason to. Right. A lot of insurance companies and a lot of adjusters, even more so, like the field adjusters, if you give them reasons to pay for them, they'll pay for them. Right. Not just saying it to them in a documented way. That really doesn't happen now. Most companies aren't doing it. Right. So they file it, they meet the adjuster, and then they wait. They wait for the insurance company to dictate to them how much is going to be paid and what is being paid for. Let me see the scope, and then we'll go from there. And so they're not really documenting it. They're taking pictures, but that's for their own documentation. And then they're just justifying the scope. They never justify the scope of loss. They never give any reasons why the insurance company should or shouldn't be paying. So that's really the second flaw in the process. So it's possibly filed incorrectly, right? Not all the information given at the time of the filing. And then the next stage is in that in-between stage before the adjuster comes out. They're not documenting it or justifying that scope that they're looking for. They're just pointing out the damages to that field adjuster, right? So we'll move on to.
Yeah, how would a contractor actually document the different damages? Like what specific tools would they use to do that?
So we use an app called Total Scope. That's how we do it right now. It's a step-by-step app that literally anyone who's never been on a roof can use. If you don't know what a certain item is on a roof, a flashing, an eave, drip edge, so on and so forth, you at a click of a button, it shows you what it is. And so that's how we do it. We find it's the best way to document it, both photo wise and so on. If not, you have to create a process around documenting a loss. Every roofing company would have to create their own system and an own process to document it correctly, put together reports correctly, write an estimate in a timely manner, getting it to the field adjuster and desk adjuster in a timely manner. So this way you're setting the reserves correctly early on and not later. So it's really its own process within the process. And that's why most roofing companies aren't doing it.
Got it. Okay.
So we're getting to flaw 3 really happens at the time of the inspection with that field adjuster. So the time that field adjuster, a lot of times they're not walking it. They're letting the field adjuster do their own thing. And that's really a huge flaw in the process, right? If you're not doing it and you haven't submitted a scope with all the reasons why, if you're not doing step 2 and documenting correctly and putting it together and getting it to the insurance company, you've now shot yourself a little bit in the foot, right? So you're not walking it with the field adjuster, showing them the damages that need to be shown. And then the insurance company at that inspection is setting the reserves. And like we talked about before, setting those reserves is really, really, really a huge part of this process of getting, even if they don't give it to you initially, it's what's going to make it easier or harder to get the rest of it later. The insurance company sets that, and then to get them outside of that, let's just call it a tax bracket. If you're in that $10,000 to $20,000 tax bracket or that $20,000 to $30,000 tax bracket, and you think you're owed 45 when you're in the 20 to 30, it's gonna be really hard to get past that $30,000 mark. Obviously, can it be done? Yes, it can be done, but you've made it harder for yourself for no reason, right? Because of that initial inspection, that field adjuster is setting a reserve, an approximate amount of where he thinks this thing should be outside of his estimate. He may pay less than his reserve set, but he still sets a reserve to the loss.
Got it.
So it all comes. It's not one thing that's the flaw. It's all these little micro things that cause a bigger problem at the end. Filing it wrong, then not documenting it, then not walking it, then setting the reserves wrong, and this is all happening in those first 14 days. Right, this happens very quickly. Right. And so I understand having processes, you're still doing roofs, you're still building roofs, you still have a lot going on, and you're not insurance guys. So it's not really up your alley. And the system is built, it has been built in the claims, process across the board for every company that, don't do X, Y, and Z when they don't pay you, then go send it to a supplement company and supplement. The only problem is that they've set the reserves. So now a supplement company that has no teeth because they're not an adjuster, they're begging for money late instead of demanding it early, right? So that's where we get into, and we'll get into, our solution, but that's where we get into our sort of our motto: play offense over defense, and not just playing defense at the end.
Mhm.
So demand money early and not beg for it late. So, so that's flaw 3. Flaw 4 comes after that inspection. Usually there's very little follow-up with the insurance company. It's sort of just sit and wait with insurance. Will insurance going to be paying? Will insurance going to be paying? Wait for that ACV check to show. A lot of these carriers have certain deadlines that you have to stand by, right? That then put more pressure on the insurance company. For example, such as like a proof of loss. If you submit that to the insurance company in a timely manner, you've now put them on record. Now they know how much you're asking for. It's a signed document from the insured to the insurance company saying, Mrs. Smith is asking for X, Y, and Z. Here's all the details of the loss. Here's the amount we're asking for, the policy amounts at the time of the loss, and here's our official document saying we've sent the estimate, sent all that, but here's official document saying we're asking for X, and that puts the insurance company even more so on their heels. The more things you can play offense with and push them, the more reasons why they should be paying you. That's what we're trying to do here. So that rarely happens. Most roofers don't know what a proof of loss is, and even if they do, they're not putting them together because one, it's just not in their realm. So there's, again, no follow up after the inspection. They're just sort of waiting for the insurance company to do their job, do their thing, and then when they stall when they ask for documents or the claim, and you're hoping the homeowner is going to do it, and the homeowner doesn't know as much as more about home claims than a homeowner does. Homeowners never had a claim in their life, most likely.
Got it. So, what is the typical timeline usually from in like a plan? I guess it just depends, right?
Yeah, I mean, a typical timeline, and I'll send these slides. You can send them out to everyone. The typical timeline, you're probably looking at an average roofer right now is probably looking 60 to 90 days to go through the full process. And that full process involves supplementing, and usually, it depends on how well run they are. Obviously, not everyone in this room is going to be, at a 60-day mark or at a 90-day mark or maybe even longer. It just depends. If your production guy is really good, he goes over that estimate. He's like, hey, we're not starting this job because we don't got enough money on the table. Some guys, they're just so busy, and the production guy may be good still. They're just so busy, they're just pushing them through. And then 60 days, 90 days, the owner goes to look at the papers. It's like, oh man, we've done this roof and we have like an 8% profit margin, and we need to go supplement because roofing sales guy made, $40, and the company's basically either lost money or broke even. So no company here wants to break even or make 8% profit margins, but they're only figuring that out when it's too late, after the insurance company set reserves and after the insurance company has made their payments. And now it's a lot more difficult because now you're pulling teeth and you're playing defense and begging for money because now you're out money because you put the roof on, or you're basically sitting in your opportunity costs, just sitting there waiting, and you can't do the roof, right? And now you're just waiting and waiting and waiting. And so you hire a supplement company and they try to get whatever nickel and dime what's left at the end.
Got it. What are some typical things that a contractor can do to prevent from extending the deadline?
I mean, it all really comes back to the first 3 flaws. It's really, it's all of, like I said earlier, it's a build-up process, right? If you're not doing, 1, then you're not doing 2, and you're not doing 2, and you're not doing 3, and 3 and 4, right? It all builds up. It's not one single thing that's causing it, right? It's not that you filed it wrong, right? If, let's say you filed it wrong, but then you document really well and build an estimate and put together a whole page, full report of reasons why, codes, picture report, so on and so forth, but you didn't file it right, you probably fixed it, right? But let's say you filed it right and didn't do, all that, you probably didn't fix it. So it's a build-up process, and it's really the overall, what's happening in the current claim process for most roofing companies. It's just overall flawed, okay, right? And it's flawed because it's a pass-down program. One company's doing, we're going to do it that way. We do it that way. Most people haven't built up a process. They build a process for doing roofs because they're roofers. They haven't built a claim process because they're not adjusters or a claim processing company. Right. So there's no reason to build a process around it. So it's sort of, the insurance company's going to pay. If they don't pay, we just move on, go sign up the next homeowner. But there's no reason, if you think there's damage, why they shouldn't be paid. You know, there's opportunity losses here. You know, you walk away from roofs because insurance can be shortchanged, and you know, no loss. You know, you didn't put money on the property. Then okay, you know, ma'am, sorry, you can fight with your insurance company. If you get enough money, let us know. Every company's different. Some companies fight it. Some companies, you know, if they get enough, they'll go put it on, or they'll start it up. You know, and then they'll supplement. Every company's different. Every company's gonna have different timelines. But they're, again, letting the insurance company dictate that process to them, really.
Got it.
So, so at the 30-day mark is usually around when the first time a roofer, you know, contractor is seeing the scope or the estimate from the insurance company has dictated to them. Plus that initial check is issued. And at that point, the insured's really at the mercy to move forward with a formal build contract, and it aren't even sure if there's enough money to start the job or not, right? So that's the only first time they're seeing how much it is and what the line items are paying for, right? So is there enough money? And that's true no matter what, but at least you've set the tone from the beginning. You know the reserves are set correctly because you've documented correctly, so on and so forth. So this is the first time. So after 30 days, you're first finding out, can I start? Can I not start? Right? What line items did they pay for? What items did they not pay for? And now you're starting to figure out what's the next course of action. Well-run companies, they're going to get the production very quickly. They're going to hope that Mrs. Smith moves forward with them because they have a contingency agreement, so their name's not on the check. So they're hoping Mrs. Smith's going to move forward with them and not say, oh, you know what, I don't want to move forward, or you know, I have a roofer down the street, he'll do it for cheaper, whatever it may be. You know, so this is the first time you're really finding out, can I start or can I not? Am I getting the job? Am I not getting the job? And so that's really one of the flaws in the process, is that 30 days in, you've let an insurance company dictate to you and not you dictate to an insurance company. And, you know, will you get this job or not? Okay. You get into flaw 6 in the process, is really depending on the roofing company and how well run. We've put it around that like mid 33 to 37 days, somewhere around there. It's like I was saying, do you start production or you start supplementing, right? So some, you know, companies that are over busy, and they start production, they just push things through, and we'll supplement later. And some companies are just going to supplement until it's ready. And even then, is it ready, or is it just good enough to get the job and like we made some money and let's move on, right? And you still really don't know the value of your damages. Most roofing companies aren't writing estimates by themselves, right? They're letting the insurance company dictate, and then they're taking that scope, they're giving it to a supplement company, or they're supplementing themselves, and, you know, increasing some line items of costs, plus also increasing adding some line items to it. But they're not, you know, they're getting what they sort of bare minimum need, not, you know, fighting for the whole scope of the loss.
Got it.
Okay. So, and finally get to your supplement check, right? So you get your supplement check, you're dealing with mortgage companies. How much time is spent on that? These things are servicing money. They're not making money for you, right? You're chasing the money down. You're chasing Mrs. Smith to get signatures. You're chasing everyone. And it's just delays in the process for cash in your pocket, right? Cash flow is huge. It's something we are very diligent on watching and making sure we're helping, you know, roofers keep that cash flow going, because otherwise I'm not doing a good job, right? So that's why we try to move this process forward instead of backwards. So even if you do all that process, right, how much time is spent on it and what's your opportunity costs, right? So you're spending money on processing money and not making money, right? We think that all companies should be spending money, all their money should be spent on things that are making them money and not processing money. Processing money doesn't do anything for you, right? It doesn't make you more money, doesn't invest in your business. It's just a servicing of what's the needs of now. And it really doesn't solve anything, right? Would you rather spend your money on more sales guys or more equipment, things like that, and not 6 office people just chasing checks all day?
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
And then we get into what we do, the virtual PA's timeline and the experience and expertise that we have, and like how we try to play offense over defense. So what we do at the virtual PA is we take the whole entire claim process and we handle it in-house. We work with the contractor as our field operator almost, right? So it's just signing up the client, but we'll talk about that. We send the contract to them, everything. You work with the app that we work with. So we file the claim right away. So that within the app, it sends us over the information for that homeowner, which then gets sent to contract directly to that homeowner as a licensed PA. So we send that to them. There's a video explaining the contract, everything like that. Once we get that contract, we're filing it right away, and we're filing it correctly, right? We're taking all the information that you've given us, we're filing it, making sure it's filed correctly in a timely manner. So that just sets the tone from the beginning, right? And it puts the insurance company on notice that there's a PA on this file. This isn't just a homeowner who I can walk all over. Okay. Like I was saying, we use Total Scope. Total Scope is an app. And basically it takes the greenest of green bean sales guys and makes them be able to put together a report like this. So in these claim binders, they're created in 3 to 5 days. We create that estimate from when you leave that property, 3 to 5 days, and it gets sent to the field adjuster and the desk adjuster. So in that claim binder is really an estimate, picture report, aerials, so areas, your Eagle views, local and state codes, manufacturer specifications, and exactimate definitions for like overhead and profit and so on. So this way the insurance company has no reason why they should be underpaying. Obviously they still are going to try. They're going to try to nickel and dime everything. We give them reasons not to. Sometimes it's just about going through the process with them, so they're going to, pay 50% of the estimate, and then we're going to have to get on the phone and then justify to the desk adjuster, not the field adjuster, all the other items and get it closed out. So that this is all, we try to push everything instead of being on the back end where, where we talked about before, the timeline was 30 days out, right? 30 days is when you start to figure out, do we have enough or not, write an estimate and everything. And here we push it into 3 to 5 days that the insurance company has what we're looking for, right? And the people who are writing these estimates are roofers, right? So they're taking all the information you give them, pictures, all the information, putting together as roofers, understanding how a roof goes on, what needs to be done, what doesn't, and then as well with all your local and state municipality codes. So everything's going to be in there, explanations for every line item and so on. So we've pushed this process forward, and you're going to see we're going to push it more, even more so. So by submitting all the documents and the POL within the first 2 weeks, the claim process, we force the insurance company to work on our timeline by following up daily and settle the claim as fast as possible. So like I said, we're trying to push this all forward. So we're following up as soon as that inspection's done, we're following up every day. Putting together that proof of loss, getting over to the homeowner to sign, and then off to the insurance company. Again, giving them no reasons not to pay, and not to pay in a timely manner, right? That's the main goal, is to push. The squeaky wheel gets the grease, and that's what we live by. So we just keep calling, we keep bothering until they get paid, and they get paid correctly. So you'll again, here we go. The next part of our process, so once we get to that settlement, it's either in that 14 to 30 day area. As a public adjuster, our name must be on the check. So that takes away that scary part where Mrs. Smith may say, well, how much are you charging me for this roof? My neighbor John, he has another roofer doing for X number. And now you're worried, is this homeowner going to move forward with me, or are they not? Are they going to try to, go off and take this check and hire someone else and pocket the rest of the money? Additionally, as well, we've already submitted all the necessary documents, right? We're not waiting to write an estimate now or supplement now. It's right away. So there's no dead time of, okay, let's go get a supplement company, let's have them write an estimate, and then have them submit it and then report. They already have it. So it's a phone call. So we've, again, taken away any reasons why they shouldn't be paying the correct amount. And even if they don't pay the correct amount, we've given away why they haven't paid in a timely manner. And it's just a phone call to be made to negotiate.
The power of attorney, I had a question on that. That's one of the stipulations you had on the website. What exactly does that mean?
So as a public adjuster, our name has to be on the check, right? It's just the laws within the states. Because we're representing the homeowner, it's the one thing that the states do for us. To ensure that we're going to get paid, because we work on a contingent agreement. So We charge, 10% of the amount we're able to recover for a property owner. So we're on the check. When we're on the check, we're able to have leverage within where this check is going, whose names will be on it. So, and we'll get into that in the next couple slides, but basically we are able to dictate more than a roofer where a check, who's on it, and how it's going to be issued back to the homeowner.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. So that, walking right into it, we put you in a position of power where you're playing offense over defense with the insurance company, and not the other way around. At this point, we're around 45 days. We're wrapping up the negotiations for the remaining funds to ensure the claim is paid in full, right? So there's, like I said, within that 30 to 45 days, they made that initial payment, and now we're negotiating the rest. But we've given them all the reasons why they should be paying you. It's all about now just beating them up a little bit to get the full payment, and not, nickel and dimed, and just, because you want to get the job started or you're already out money, just taking what they offer you and begging for the money. We've given them no reason why they shouldn't, because we've played offense over defense. All right. And then the whole check process, like you were explaining about, the power of attorney and so on. The power of attorney is not really the term. The letter of representation that we send into the insurance company allows our name to be on a check. We handle that whole check process. So you don't have to have people in your office handling it, which gives you more time to obviously sign more customers and make more money. But we also dictate where that check's going. So when a check is issued, again, it's our name, homeowner, and or there is a mortgage company, but we handle that process. So when I reissue a check, I'm writing it out to ABC Roofing and Mrs. Smith, right? So now ABC Roofing is going to Mrs. Smith saying, hey, Mrs. Smith, we're ready to start your job. Here's the check. I just need you to sign off on it. And now they can get started with the job. There's no concern about any loss ratio of, this homeowner saying, well, now how much are you going to charge me for this roof? They've signed their contingency agreement. They said you're going to be doing the roof. So if it's $10, $20, $30,000, whatever it may be, your name's on that check. So you have no worry about customer trying to go somewhere else with it.
Got it. Okay.
And that's it. So that's what we do for people.
Nice. Awesome. And then what are the single, like, biggest takeaways you think that you would recommend having a contractor, from this presentation? I guess, I guess it's just preventing errors and being well prepared. That's what
overall, the takeaway is that the claim process as it stands today is flawed, and it's becoming even more flawed as insurance companies get tougher and as UPA laws get tougher. That will, we don't really have a stance on it. UPA laws are what they are. I can't change that. Either the state's going to push hard on them or they're not. Every state's different. A lot of public adjusters are for them. A lot of public adjusters are against them. We don't really have a stance as a company, but they're there. So could they, larger organizations are going to have a larger problem because, as we know with a lot of these laws, they're going to try to make an example of somebody, right? It's usually not the guy, who's doing, a couple of roofs a year. It's the guy who's doing hundreds of roofs a year.
Yeah.
So, and they can go back 3 years and hit you on all of them. So it's not just the one roof that they catch you on. It's that plus then, oh, you did this on 300 other roofs. Okay, we're going to hit you on the other 300 roofs. So, with using the virtual PA, you're protected by it. By using the virtual PA, you can spend your time making money and working to make money and not process money, and also cover your butt on UPA laws, but really and truly speed up your timeline and not let an insurance company dictate to you. We all have this big problem with insurance companies make billions of dollars a year, and it's not because they're really bad at, they love paying claims. No, they hate paying claims, right? It's a legalized Ponzi scheme. If you think about it, they pay yesterday's claims. They pay today's claims with yesterday's premiums.
Yeah.
Right. So they're constantly trying to float that. And so that's why you have these long timelines. That's why but if you give them reasons to pay, it makes it harder for them. They can't say, well, deny it and we'll sue. If they sue us, we have a good case. They didn't submit their POL or so on and so forth. There's a lot of little things that matter down the road. So, you really want to set yourself up to be in a winning position and not a losing position. And with a virtual PA, we set you up to be in a winning position, but also take all the things that don't make you money and let you spend time making money, get more sales guys, get more people out there, hire more canvassers. Because with this app, you can, every canvasser can put together a 65-page report. I'm sure right now, every canvasser that they have couldn't put together a 1-page report. Right? So you can hire canvassers to be putting together a full claim package without even trying. It walks them step by step through the process of estimating a roof. And then we take that information, put together that report, use technologies to build that report and the information within it, and then get it submitted to an insurance company. And we've pushed, again, the timeline forward and not backwards.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I really appreciate your time, Vince. I guess my last question is, how do you, like, you work specifically with contractors? Is that how, like, how you get your business, or do you reach out to homeowners as well, or just?
Yeah. So I mean, we've been adjusters for almost 13 years now. We're at 12 and a half years, and so we've been a B2C company for a long time. So we obviously have B2C clients, but the majority of our clients now are all B2B. So they're all roofers, storm contractors, in handling their claim process. So they basically work with our app. They work with our app through the process. They, go out, do their thing. We work with them. This way they can, again, be signing more roofs, having more sales guys, spending money on things that make them money and not processing money.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, Vince, I really appreciate your time.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.